Okay, so welcome everybody to our Tour North America with Anywhere But Here Travel and Mayflower Tours. So thank you everybody for joining us. I am Monica, as you might be able to tell from my little screen name, and I have a quick little introduction here for everybody to look at on my screen. Just wanted to give you a quick introduction about us and who we are, and this is kind of the general agenda of what we're going to go through. There's going to be not that much going on. So here is Anywhere But Here Travel. This is the four of us right now, and we're actually all on this video call right now, so that's super awesome. There's Andrea, there is Tia, and there is Kara, and then there's myself. This is actually taken at one of our last events that we attended right before like all the shutdown stuff happened. So we were lucky enough to get this group photo of us. So who does Anywhere But Here Travel help? And we typically help, busy professionals and families who just don't have enough time to kind of plan their own vacations, or maybe they just, don't know everything that they want to do and want advice. That's what we are here for. We are your travel experts. And we just help make everything go smoothly. You don't want to be like this. You want to be relaxed and enjoying your vacation. So, we have the insider information about, various destinations. We partner with super awesome partners like Sandy, and we just help you have an amazing vacation. So that is how we help. You get the peace of mind of having us as your advocate. That is another one of the benefits of having a travel advisor help you out with your vacation planning. So I'll tell you a little bit more about how our particular agency works after the main presentation, because I just want to get through to the main show as quickly as possible. So these are some of the amazing travel experiences that we've shared with our clients. These are some of our happy clients who send us pictures, and we can make this happen for you as well. And then just a little bit of housekeeping. I do have some itinerary flyers that I can email everybody after the event, and because Sandy will be going over a couple different itineraries for the presentation. So if you want more information about that, I can email that out to everybody. And we also have a couple of events that are coming up. Would love to have you register. I'll help you register if you need it. We have a couple of cruise events, cruising in the United States, Viking Cruise Night, and then we have a bunch of virtual vacations that we have to offer as well. A lot of them have already been recorded, but we also have some that are coming up that are live presentations that you can tune in for. So, and again, we do have that chat button in the Zoom meeting, and please take advantage of using that, because we'll pretty much remain muted for most of the presentation. If you have questions, I would love to hear from you. But I just would love to have you answer in the chat if you have traveled around North America before, and maybe where you've traveled to. That kind of helps us give some ideas of how we can help you best. Have you ever been on a Mayflower tour? We'd love to know if you've already taken one of their tours, and maybe you have some feedback you can share with us at the very end. And the last question is, who has traveled here with Anywhere But Here Travel? I know who our clients are, and so it's more for the people here who have never traveled with Anywhere But Here Travel. We will maybe ask you a question or two at the end, perhaps. So that is basically it. That's all I got for you. And I'm going to turn over the show to Sandy. I'm going to stop my screen share, and I know you have a presentation as well. I'm going to unmute you, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
And take it away.
All right, and tell me if you guys can see it. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yes. Yay. Well, hi, everybody. And again, thank you actually for spending this evening with us, because this is really exciting. This is a heck of a lot more fun than watching the evening news. Let me just say that. It is a real pleasure to be working with Anywhere But Here Travel. I am in Portland, Oregon, so I'm here in the region. And I have a great passion for the world. And funny enough, I think probably all of us here, you know, our quest for so many years has been to get out and see the world, right? And so we jet off to the farthest reaches of the earth and have these incredible experiences. And I often say we sort of miss the opportunity, to be honest, to do some of the work in our own backyards, to get to see some of these great locations here in North America. And of course, with the current challenges that we're facing, you know, this is the time to see North America. And I really feel like we have as much exotic travels here in our own country and all of these different great places around the country as we do on our 15-hour flights all over. And so we're going to start our evening, by the way. I have a couple things I prefer when I travel. One is that we always travel first class. So tonight in our fantasy travels, we are all first class, and we've just been served our champagne and or your glass of wine or a cup of tea. And we want you to sit back, because I hope that in the next you know, amazing 30 minutes or so, I'm going to take us through about 12 states, and we are going to hopefully do a quick deep dive into a variety of opportunities that are for you guys. That might be something that you've always dreamed of doing. Maybe you've been to a piece or a part of one of these trips, but you've never really experienced it in full. So I'll start on the East Coast, and I'm going to tell you quickly a little bit about Mayflower so you know, well, who we are and what is the work that we're doing. We offer these incredibly well-defined trips that are, as Monica mentioned, they're thoughtless in the sense of you have to worry about nothing. They are escorted tours with guided opportunities to learn about these areas that you're in, to yet vacation and celebrate, and to marvel at the natural history, or maybe at the, you know, the activities that we might be doing, but they're fully inclusive trips. So your meals and your lodging, your baggage carriage, all of this is included in your travels. And so it makes it really beautifully relaxing. And I think any vacation, that's really important, that we do get to relax. And one of the trips that we have is the New England Rails and Sails. So we're gonna head over to the East Coast. And in this trip, it's in October. We're actually in about 6 states, guys. So we're really covering some ground here on this program. And something that I think is fun about, well, why New England? If you've never seen the fall foliage, I don't know if there's, you know, there's very few things that really are as spectacular, let's say, as when we see New England in its full glory in fall foliage. And so that's really why we've selected this date. You're actually in the best date, statistically speaking, of all travels in New England for the fall foliage and the full colors. And so we're gonna make our way. First in our flight, we're going to be landing in Boston, and here's where I get to give you some fun stuff. All right, Boston. Do you know it's named after a town in England? And it is the first subway in all of the United States, and it also has the oldest public park. And so here's where will be our stomping ground, for which we take off to explore the countryside. Before we leave Boston, we of course are going to go and explore the Freedom Trail. And this is a unique collection, actually, of museums, of churches, of meeting houses, burying grounds, actually, at even a park and a ship. And we're going to go look at these historic markers. We're going to learn about the story of the American Revolution and really what is the history of this region of the country. You know, why is Boston such an important place for us to experience as a city? And I know we've been to Boston and probably shopped in Boston, but we're going to learn a little bit of the heritage and the history of Boston as well. We'll visit some public gardens. Again, you're there at that time of year where the weather is spectacular, so it's cool. We're not hot. It's not the summer. We're going to head then to get Kennebunk Park. Now, I got to tell you, we've made a special arrangement. I don't know if I've shared with Andrea and Monica and the team. The Bushes are going to have us over for a private dinner. And so I hope, you know, you guys are in for that. We're going to go review his artwork and everything. But Kennebunkport is just a beautiful little seaside community. It is a playground for the wealthy, so we'll definitely explore a little bit of that. But this trip is really a mix. I think we can see the country in many different ways, and I think sometimes the modality of how you see the country is as exciting as what you're seeing. And so this trip is a mix of train travel as well as cruising. So, it's kind of by vehicle, by train, by boat, and by plane really to get there. So you're really kind of covering your bases. So we're going to do this variety of experiences. This one will start with the main narrow gauge. And this was actually, the heritage train travel is an interesting story for us because it is, trains were a functionality of the US, it was moving goods. And as we developed better technologies and better ways to move people, train travel became a really challenged industry. And around the 60s and the 70s, a lot of these little area trains were falling to the wayside, the history of them and everything. And the tourism industry really was the saving grace for the history of train travel in the US, because it's through tourism that a lot of these historic trains and historic scenic rails are able to stay afloat and in business and continue to do what they do. But what I like about it is it brings us into areas that are really sometimes inaccessible. We get a little bit more of that backcountry experience for where these rails are. And if you've been on trains here in the Northwest, you know what I'm talking about. But we will definitely have a lot to view. We will be actually making our way, and on the train, we actually take this ride, and then at the end, we're going to board a cruise. And we're going to take a cruise through the bay. So it's very exciting there because you're kind of doing this train ride, you're capturing this imagery, and then you're on a cruise. We're actually going to head into the White Mountains. And I have to say, with the White Mountains, it's a range that it covers the quarter of the state of New Hampshire. So this is actually a pretty expansive area, guys, if you haven't been in this area. And it's kind of a tiny bit of Maine, so the White Mountains does extend into Maine, just a little bit outside of New Hampshire. It's part of the Appalachians, so we're exploring, part of the Appalachian Mountain system here, and we're going to board another train on this trip. This is the North Conway, and what I love about this particular train is that this is from the 1874, actually, is the age of this train. So you're in almost a moving museum, and then you have this extraordinary, imagery that's right there in front of you. So these are experiences, by the way, that are going to take us, as I said, into the back countries, really to see fall foliage in a way that maybe you wouldn't naturally access if you were there on your own. But also you're going to have this heritage and the history of the trains and the even kind of the impact that these trains have had in the communities that you pass through. So so that'll be some of the experiences there. We're going to actually get on and I never can say this right, so I'm going to say this right now. If any of you know how to pronounce this, I'm never good at this, but the Kankamagus, how's that, Scenic Byway. I have to tell you, by many standards, this is the region of the United States that is most famous for the display of fall foliage. This particular scenic drive is world renowned for what we see there in New England. It's about 34 miles in total, so and it runs through the White Mountain National Forest and really gives us those spectacular colors. And as a little factoid, the colors are caused by the sugars actually in the leaf. So that's how you tell, if it's super red, it has a high sugar content. Bet you didn't know that. There's my little factoid for a Thursday night. We're gonna pass through the Green Mountains. We're gonna head into Vermont on this trip. And really, as we do this, we're gonna make our way across these scenic bridges. We're going to jump again onto another train, the Green Mountain, and this is really where we get that quincentennial image of covered bridges. This is really where we have that viewing, that spectacular viewing. And again, these travels on trains, by the way, are never usually more than a few hours. So we're not spending a whole day on a train. We're just having the experience on these various trains in these incredibly rich areas. One of the things that I have to say I love about travel is the more we travel, the less we know. And I think in experiences like this, I don't know about you guys, but we're all different travelers. So sometimes I'm not much of a museum gal myself. I like to do the rugged stuff. But I think in the museums, we're given this visor, this opportunity to delve into the people that make a place, and so here we're going to be actually visiting with the staff and the museum of the Norman Rockwell Center. So we're sort of stepping back in time in this very nostalgic, I don't know, boy, we could use Norman Rockwell right now, like that nostalgic imagery of the Evening Post and those images you all might remember. I call this from saintliness to sin. We're going to go from the Norman Rockwell image, guys, of like, beautiful America to a casino. And we're going to be spending a few nights in this casino. But I feel like in the casino, it's your chance to actually pay for your entire trip if you do it well. So we'll have a few nights here at the Mohegan Sun Resort. And I call this, from saintly to sinly. But, hopefully you have a lot of luck behind you. And while we're in a casino and we have these evenings to have some fun, we are spending our days still really exploring the countryside. Because, again, we're here in the fall. This is really, you literally will fill up your camera each and every day. But this particular train ride, I need you to know, is 1892. So you're still really stepping back in time. This is a steam engine. So it is old school. You'll hear that steam engine. It's a 2.5-hour train ride in the heart of the Connecticut River Valley. So the views here are just exceptional. And they have these vintage coaches. So again, you're almost like in a moving museum in your experience there. We're again going to kind of mix it up. So you're going to have an experience on the riverboat Becky Thatcher. And this is a steamboat. And actually, it's kind of fun because you'll enjoy this. It's one thing to see the Connecticut River from the train, but it's another thing to be on the Connecticut River. So you're really going to get the views and the experiences from both sides. And if you've ever been on a paddle wheel vessel, it's just it's a neat experience all the way around. And then, this is some of the area, we kind of move into coastal before, our trip kind of comes to a close. And the reason that we're coming over to Cape Cod Bay is really to have an experience with whale watching. And I don't know, I can't see everybody's comments while I'm talking, by the way, but I'm dying. I'm looking forward to kind of reading through some of your thoughts here. Whale watching, guys, is, I think, one of the most spectacular experiences that one can have. It's if you've been to Africa and watched the elephants, if there's just something about these mega, fauna, these mega animals that are just really touching. And I have to say, the coastal waters of the Atlantic, they're teeming with, at this time of year actually, is the top time of year to see the whale migrations. But you also can expect to see pilot whales, you can see finbacks, minkays even. And so while we're obviously out to see the whales, we're also going to be viewing a lot of other marine wildlife as well. The boats are sizable, so you really don't have to worry too much about the seasickness issues or things like that, if that's something that you're a little prone to. And you can't come to this part of the world and not actually visually put your eyes on the Plymouth Rock, which I don't know about you, but I sort of think of it like, isn't there an insurance thing? Is that Plymouth Rock? There's like, I don't know. But here's the crazy thing that I think is a fun side note about this. So you think, Plymouth Rock, why? And it's a traditional site, actually. It's a disembarkation. So what this represents, guys, is when William Bradford and the Mayflower Pilgrims, not Mayflower Cruises, Mayflower Pilgrims, founded the Plymouth colony. This was in 1620. So this marks the colony's founding from the Mayflower. But funny enough, it was broken. The community wanted to move the rock. And in doing so, they actually split the rock. And for a good few hundred years, part of the rock was in the town center and part of it was right here where it was originally founded. And so they eventually, in the 1800s, I think around 1874, they brought the other piece of rock over and reconnected it. So there's your crazy little story of a rock. But I think what it stands for has a lot of interest and intrigue, and I'm sure with your guides, you'll learn a lot more. So our timelines for this, guys, is October 6th through the 14th. And what I loved was, you know, working with Monica and the team, we really did want to capture the best possible date for the fall foliage here. And so what's been interesting in the warming and the changes that we're experiencing is that it has started to fall a little bit later. So, so that part is exciting because we're going to hit it right when it's just in its full glory. We also have a free airfare with this. So when this is reserved by September 30th, if anybody is interested, there is no air cost related to your travels. So that's a fairly significant savings. And so I always try to share that with folks. Now, we're going to leave all right, we're going to leave our Boston accents, which I didn't even do for you because you would have just killed me. And we're going to kind of go into a culture shock here, guys, because we're shifting gears. We're going to get on our flight. Oh, hold on. And I can't seem to forward it. Hold on. And we're going to head west. So to the Wild West. And here's the funny part. For our gal that's in Hawaii, you know, there's some places in the United States that you would think somebody who travels quite a bit, you know, oh, of course you've been to Hawaii. Of course you've been to Yellowstone. Of course, you know, there's those iconic areas of the country that we assume, you know, oh, well, if you travel, you've seen this. And I have to say, it's one of these things that I have a fascination with, because not only have I've done 62 countries, all 7 continents, haven't been to Hawaii, and I'm going to share with you, I haven't been to Yellowstone. And I think, I almost feel like, can we say that we have been born and raised in the West, let's say, and not have seen and experienced Yellowstone and Jackson Hole? And so this is an opportunity for us to head out. And national parks are definitely, I have to say, this is what people are doing, even right now. This has been a real movement, and I think this will continue on for the remainder of 21. This opportunity to get out into these national parks. The thing about the national parks are, you really want to do this with organizations that have a long heritage and a history in these areas, because if you're navigating it on your own, we run into those challenges of, you know, it's overpopulated, there's too much this, there's too many people around. And so, you know, I think organizations like Mayflower, we put a lot of time and energy and experience into running travels in this part of the country, and also running travels with our national parks in general. So we don't really encounter a lot of the challenges that you often hear about those maybe experiencing a national park right now. So we're going to cover 3 states here. Salt Lake City and Utah is where we're going to begin our adventures. And, you know, city of Salt Lake City actually was called originally, guys, the Great Salt Lake City. The Great Salt Lake City is what it was originally named. And Great was dropped from the official name in 1868. So there's a little interesting tidbit. This is also, and hold on to your hats, the location of the very first Kentucky Fried Chicken. Did anybody know that? Salt Lake City, who knew? Well, here's the story, really. It's Sanders Chicken is what it was when Sanders created the franchise, Sanders Chicken in Kentucky. But it was a friend of his that he franchised it to, and that's how it became Kentucky Fried Chicken. So now it's synonymous for you. Anytime you think of Salt Lake City, you'll think of Kentucky Fried Chicken, of all things. We're going to arrive in, of course, Yellowstone National Park, and we're really going to do a deep dive here in Yellowstone. 1916, Woodrow Wilson created the national park system, and Yellowstone is for sure the shining star, I think, of our national park systems. And we have about a little over 417 national parks today. So it really is, kind of the grandfather, so to speak, of our national park experiences. And we're going to explore its canyons, its forest, its falls, the scenic overlooks, the hot springs, the geology, the geysers. It's actually, this area, guys, is quite big. So Yellowstone is actually larger than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. And for anybody that has that science love, it's a super volcano. Not that that should freak you out, but it is. We are going to head up to Dunraven Pass. And I have to say, Dunraven Pass is kind of an ear-popping experience because you're making your way to 8,895 feet here. So we're going to climb quite high, and it has just, if you're a photographer, any one of these 3 trips I'm going to tell you is like a photographer's dream, but you're really grabbing, you can't get a bad shot, to be quite honest. You could do it on your iPhone, and it's still going to be as spectacular as having the equipment. And so we'll see this spectacular scenery. It is the highest mountain pass in Yellowstone. It really does offer us kind of that 360 view that's really unsurpassed. We're going to make our way to Mammoth Hot Springs. And, it's interesting. We walk on these boardwalks that you see here, and we're above hydrothermal features here. So it's kind of one of those must-sees of Yellowstone. I don't know how you could come here and not see this area. But it's different from the other thermal areas in the area, actually, because it is a limestone, and it's very soft, actually, this limestone on top of the rock here. And it allows these travertine formations to grow much faster. So it basically, if you have a geology love affair, this is where you're going to start to get that earth science self in there, and just really understanding science in a way that we actually like it, instead of the science classes we might have been when we were kids. We're going to also get over to Norris Geyser Basin, and this is definitely an area where I'm going to tell you guys that we do not want to fall off the walkway in any way. The water here is approximately 459 degrees, so it's quite hot. And it basically is one of the few thermal features that there are spots of it that are under the boiling point at 199 degrees, which is still pretty hot to me. So this gives you an idea of some of those geysers that we will expect to see. Something I haven't talked about in our talk tonight is kind of the lodging. Like, what's the experience of lodges on these trips? We consider ourselves a solid 4-star, maybe sometimes 4.5, and maybe sometimes 3.5 star, lodging provider. And so you are in these kind of nostalgic locations that are really unique to that area. So we'll choose kind of the location over the amenities. We want you to be, as accessible to the environment or to the areas that you're in as possible. And so we work with these national park lodges so that you can be having your morning breakfast and having a view as you see here. And I think it enhances that experience of what is Yellowstone and the travel experience of it all the way around. As we look at Old Faithful, which we've all heard a lot about, and maybe some of you have seen, it's another one. You can't not visit Yellowstone and not see Old Faithful. It was discovered in 1870, and Old Faithful Geyser was named for its frequent and somewhat predictable eruptions, which number more than 1 million since Yellowstone became the world's first national park in 1872. So it's amazing to consider that the earth gives us this show as routinely as it does every single day, you know, and has since in the 1800s and probably before then. So, so that'll be something to witness for sure. We're going to take a beautiful drive, and okay, here's my metaphor. I think life isn't really about where we end up. It's about what we do along the way. And I think in travel, I feel the same way. Often the journey is as spectacular as the destination that you're heading towards or trying to get to. And so in this case, we're going to leave Yellowstone National Park behind. We're going to jump on the Rockefeller Memorial Parkway, and we're going to enjoy this scenery. We're heading to the Grand Tetons, so it's not, to be honest, all that far. But we have towering conifers and snow-capped peaks is going to be a lot of our views from this particular drive. We end up in Grand Tetons National Park. And as I said, it's very close to Yellowstone. It's just 10 miles, which is unbelievable when you think about that. And Grand Teton is quite a big national park in and of itself. It's 310 acres. And it's pretty darn pristine. I would even tell you, compared to Yellowstone, it doesn't see the same level of traffic and tourism maybe. And so you just have these natural areas that are just, almost undiscovered in a certain sense. The naming of the mountain here, of the Grand Tetons, is attributed to an early 19th century French-speaking trapper. So it was named after a French-speaking trapper, and it was anglicized and shortened to Tetons over the years. And its highest peak is 13,775 feet. So these are pretty large mountains that we get to take a view with. And again, hopefully we're downloading our our video cards every day so that we have the space on our cameras. We're going to head our way into Jackson. And I have to say, I think travel is also a mix of cultural traditions. I think music often tells a story of an area far better than any other, way of conveying the heritage or the history of an area. And so we're going to have a really down-home experience, a dinner show here with some incredible musicians. And it's an outdoor chuck wagon event, so it's a lot of fun, very playful. We're going to actually throw in some adventure here with a scenic float trip on the Snake River. So, I often tell people we're not doing, let's say, whitewater rafting here. This is really more of a float. But there's just, again, there's that different modality of travel. It's like, it's a cruise or a train, or here we float, and then we have this incredible interpretation with us as we take in the scenery that we're floating by down the Snake River. We're going to be staying in one of the most historic, and believe it or not, as indiscriminate as this lodge looks, this is Antler Inn in Jackson, and it's rather a renowned location. It is considered one of the iconic lodges, believe it or not, in Jackson Hole. And, Jackson Hole is an interesting place because it is really a ski destination. And so if you're a skier, this is a sought after area. In our case, we're not going to get the chance to ski, but we will enjoy the area there. We're going to go to an evening playhouse show. So we're going to actually have another cultural experience there in the area. Here you can see some of the ski runs here in the summer. And again, this trip is in July. So we're really kind of in a perfect time of year to enjoy that warmth, but yet you still get that beautiful breeze. This also offers us the free air opportunity too. So I really bring that up because it does save quite a bit. And it's worth consideration if you haven't been to this part of the world and you haven't seen Yellowstone and these areas there near Jackson. Our final destination, if they say you save it, what is it, best for last? I'm not sure if that's true, but I gotta tell you, I have a love affair with this itinerary. I think there's a lot here that that you get to experience in a pretty short period of time. But we're going to take a run here to the national parks of the Southwest, and this itinerary actually includes 6 national parks, and then in addition the Albuquerque Balloon Festival. So if you've not, either one, I mean, they could stand on their own, just seeing the national parks of the Southwest, or even seeing the Albuquerque Balloon Festival. But in this particular itinerary, we're going to do it all. We're going to actually cover 3 states. And, I have to say, if you were willing, you could just stay in Salt Lake City where we ended our Yellowstone and Jackson trip in July. I'll need you to stay there for 6 months, however, before this trip, but then you can just join this and we can connect it for you. So if you don't mind staying in Salt Lake City, well, then we're in. That works. Salt Lake City, I'll give you another, we know that it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. We got that. It also, the streets in downtown Salt Lake City, here's another stupid little factoid, they're actually unusually wide. I don't know if you've been through Salt Lake City, you may have noticed these streets and how wide they are. When the Mormon leader, Brigham Young, when he mapped out the city, the roads were built, ready for this, to accommodate ox carts that the settlers drove. And so they needed the streets to be wide enough that they could turn an ox cart and make a U-turn on the street. And so now when you're on the streets in Salt Lake City, you're going to probably pay attention to how wide these streets are, and you'll know that it has something to do with these ox carts and how much space they needed to make their U-turn. Know that myself. I need you to know. I learned something with you every day. We're going to, of course, see the sights and sounds of Salt Lake City. Obviously, the Mormon temple, and just the architecture of Salt Lake City is pretty extraordinary. So we're going to enjoy a guided visit through a lot of these different, elements and cultural sites of the city itself. But we're heading out into the Wild West again, because that's really what this trip is about. And so we're going to be at Dead Horse State Park, and kind of have to start with the bang here, guys. This is just beautiful. It's located at the end of the mesa, 2,000 feet above the Colorado River. So that's what we're seeing here is the Colorado River. And it's on the edge of the Canyonlands National Park. The vista here offers us an incredible, view of the river, but also just the canyon and countryside that we see around it. So we're gonna, of course, again, fill our cameras daily, most likely. We're going to make a stop in Arches National Park on this trip. And, this is north of Moab, if you're familiar with this area, in the state of Utah. It's bordered by the Colorado River in the southeast, but it's known as the site of more than 2,000 natural sandstone arches. These are massive, as you see here, delicate arches that have withstood the test of time and erosion and all the environmental, dynamics of it. I have to tell you, I did a trip, guys, to I almost said Iceland, to Antarctica. And I had some friends that questioned me about, why would I be so intrigued with, one iceberg, you've seen one iceberg, you've seen it all, right? And I really feel like this is one and the same, because every iceberg had this unbelievable design and formation to it, and the colors and the way the sun hit those colors. And I think when we're in parks like this, such as Arches, you're just drawn to these formations that nature created, and they're also dynamically different. And so, it's yes, we're going to look at rock formations, and yes, they are rocks, but they are spectacular rocks. And so we'll definitely enjoy that. Like our last trip, we're going to put you back on the Snake River, or the Colorado River, excuse me, and do a float trip again. And again, we're not going to put you out of your comfort zone. We're not running any rapids here. But definitely it's something for us to enjoy and take in the canyon scenery here. This is some of that scenery, by the way, on your float trip. This is Fisher's Towers. And, you know, here's the other thing. And this is true of even what we've seen already to this point. Every indigenous culture, including our own and our own Native Americans, have belief systems around a lot of these unique sites. And so when we're on these trips, we're actually being given a deep visor into like looking at what, you know, what's unique about this? What is Fisher's Tower? How was it named? How did the locals, you know, what do they believe about this area? And so that'll be some of the experiences as you're floating down the river here. This is another site, you know, that we're going to have a full view of on that trip. We're going to head into Capitol Reef National Park. And now we're back, we're kind of in South Central Utah in the desert here. And it surrounds, it's actually, ready? Capitol Reef surrounds a long wrinkle, I love this term, in the earth known as the water pocket fold. So again, get your geology on for a second. But it has this sandstone and the canyons and the striking rock formations. I gotta tell you, a geologic earth wrinkle. I think this is kind of funny. I was like, well, I'm not sure how much retinal A will do it for this whole thing here, but it is strikingly beautiful. Forget the science, just take in the views. It really is extraordinary, but you might absorb a little bit of something along the way. We're going to take another drive, and again, it's that journey. So we're going to be on Highway 12 here, and this is a scenic byway. It's actually 122 miles, 0.863. I always laugh because I'm like, the 0.863 has got to be the best thing ever, right? But it's designated as an all-American road, so this is not where we want to take our naps. We're going to make our way to Escalante Grand Staircase. This is actually an area the size of Delaware, and it's got this incredible landscape, but it's a 200 million year old staircase of animals, that's us, minerals and vegetables. So we're actually visually kind of seeing the span of time, so to speak, in this one, you know, walk here. And President Clinton actually made this a national park in 1996. So it's actually a fairly new national park in the big scheme of things. These next two spots that we're going to be visiting, of course, are on my hit list as well. Bryce Canyon is extraordinary. It just kind of gets better and better, guys. This is a type of rock known for its crimson-colored hue to it, but it's called a hoodoo. So all these spires that we see here are caused through erosion, but they are called hoodoos. So there's your term of the evening when you leave us tonight, to look up hoodoos. We're going to take a stop at Zion National Park, and of course the canyon here is just, again, extraordinary. I feel like we're building experiences of these incredible canyons one after the other, and you think, a canyon's a canyon, but each time we hit one of these, they just get more spectacular as we go. And so with Zion, it's going to knock our socks off. These are very steep canyon walls around the Virgin River. The river flows to like an emerald pools and great waterfalls, just a beautiful area. So this is give you an example of some of the scenery that we can anticipate. I love all these comments. I can't see them while y'all are talking, but I know that they're fun. We're also going to get back on a boat, and we're going to go explore. This is Lake Powell. This is actually created by a dam, which we are very familiar with here in the Pacific Northwest as well. And but the views from this area and the cruising is just spectacular. And so again, just a different way to explore and to see as we make our way around Lake Powell. Here's what I love the most. We do this spectacular boat trip, and then this is where we go to dinner. This is where we sit and we order that glass of wine, and this is what we have to look at. This is what we need right now, I think, on this particular Thursday night. But this is a restaurant called the Rainbow Room, and so that we will be dining here together, and it's just a great spot, and there's just not a bad seat in the whole place. We're going to see the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument. And this is in our drive. So we're continuing, you know, our movement. But, you know, these are, again, you're getting as much in your movement as you are in the activities and the experiences you're doing, crossing bridges that look quite like this, the Navajo Bridge. We make our way, of course, to the ultimate, right? The Grand Canyon. And there's actually, I don't know if you all know this, there's 3 great Grand Canyons of the world. Did you know this? There is the Grand Canyon that's between Namibia and South Africa called Fish River Canyon. Then there's a Grand Canyon in Ethiopia. And then we have the Grand Canyon here in the US. So it's a really spectacular, special experience if you haven't been to that South Rim and had this kind of view as you see here. And so this is definitely a key highlight. Again, we're going to keep balance. We definitely want the heritage piece of this to be a part of your experience. So we're going to spend some time in the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center. This is a spectacular museum. I have to say it's very, very well done. And so this is going to give us a lot of foundation for even some of the other, you know, national parks that we had been in, you know, prior to this point. So it really gives perspective, I think. We then end up in our final days on this trip, arriving in Albuquerque, guys. And, you know, I gotta say, again, the photographer in me loves this because you're gonna see this and experience this balloon festival from every which way, from the mass ascension to the evening, you know, in all aspects of the ballooning. You can choose to take a balloon ride if you wish. I often share with people, if you haven't done a hot air balloon ride, you are the air, you're of the air. So it is the weirdest sensation to have no air on your skin. There's just no sound and no wind or anything because you're of the wind. If you have a fear of heights, I will say, there's no turning back. Once you're up, you're up. And it's quite something just to be hanging there in your basket. But it is an experience of a lifetime. So if you're an adventurous, this is definitely worth doing. You know, I gotta say with the Albuquerque Balloon Festival, it began in 1972. So it's really not, this is not actually that old when you think of, you know, iconic America stuff. It was a 50th birthday celebration for a radio station. This is how the Albuquerque Balloon Festival got started. It was a radio station that put on this event because the manager personally had a hot air balloon and it was very excited about it. And it sort of kind of caught wind. I know, pun on words. I actually have some wind here at 8 o'clock at night. And so it, you know, began to grow. It is now the largest balloon convention in the world. It actually got up to 1,000 balloons. And then because of security, you know, they've kind of marched it back to about 600 balloons. But we are definitely going to explore it from every aspect. And again, the imagery here is just die for. You'll see the elephant here on the left. There's actually a rising of the balloons that happens that is just the balloons that are the unusual balloons. So that even makes it a lot of fun because they're shaped as various things and, you know, less traditional, I guess. And so we end, if you are going to take that balloon ride, this would be the views that you would see over the Rio Grande Valley. And this trip, unfortunately, sort of, you're going to have to make a choice between your rails and sails in New England and the fall foliage, or the national parks of the Southwest and the Albuquerque Balloon Festival. But it is September 23rd through the 4th. And there is a discount that is available if you, for $100 per person or $200 a couple, by September 30th as well. And so at least it helps a little bit in the expenses. And now here's the big question, Monica. Did I make it? Did we do this in the time frame? Did we pull this off?
Awesome! It was awesome. I know we got started a little late. website for technical issues and stuff like that. So I appreciate everybody's patience for having us like get, you know, get a little slow on board there, but that was
my gosh. You know, and I love, by the way, thank you guys for, I'm just reading through your comments too. And it's just, is there any questions that, you know, came up or that you had that maybe, I know I went really fast. So
yeah. No, it's fine. I didn't see anything specific to what you talked about. I have a couple questions that I might ask at the end. I just want to give everybody a chance to, you know, use the chat and ask their questions. You know, if there's something in particular that you want to know about the tours that Sandy presented. I just have a little bit of wrapping up to do, and then we'll wrap up the evening. So I just need to reshare my screen. So
I'm going to stop sharing mine.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. And here. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So I'm back on, right? Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So why doesn't it go forward? There we go. Questions? Okay. Yeah. Put them in the chat, please. So I just kind of wanted to quickly kind of go over how Anywhere But Here travel works. Tia and Andrea are probably much better at going over all this because they have more practice than me, but that's just what it is. I will leave, I'll try to go through this quickly as well because I know we're reaching the end of our evening, but I just kind of want to highlight, just in case if there's anybody on here that is not familiar with our travel agency, this is how we work. We're a fee-based travel agency. You know, there's going to be, we're just kind of more upfront about things, and we just like to be open and honest with our clients. And, you know, even the online agencies can add fees to their trips. They just roll it into the package price so you never see them. So this is, you know, just the way we operate, and we like it. It works for us and it works for our clients. So, you know, what you're paying for is, you know, our time to help plan, you know, give you advice on what trip to take, or, you know, things to do at the destination, and more. There's like so much that we do for you. And we really are your travel expert and advocate while you're before, during, and after your trip. So we do have various different fees depending on the kind of trip you're going to take. I'll just go over the ones that happen to pertain to the itineraries that Sandy shared with us. So we would also encourage you, if you haven't already had a conversation with us about what your travel plans are. It doesn't have to be necessarily anything that Sandy talked about. We can talk about anything, obviously, but, you know, if there's something specific about the, you know, North American trips, we would love to talk to you about that. But, you know, we'd love to set up a completely complimentary discovery session. It's just a way for us to ask you a bunch of questions and get to know you better and help define what your travel style is, and so we can match you up with the right trip for you. It's completely complimentary, and we just want you to email us. You can send me a message in the chat, say, hey, I want to, you know, schedule something, or let's see, email us, call us. You can call us tomorrow, and leave a message and just say, hey, you know, I'm interested in this discovery session. We would love to chat with you. So for the people that do book the travel with us, we do offer, you know, that peace of mind kind of travel before, during, and after. We offer, you know, our 24/7 emergency contact number for your support while you're traveling. And we also follow up with you when you get home. So we want to know how your trip went, and, you know, if we can make the, you know, next trip, you know, start, you know, thinking about the next trip, and get those photos from you as well, because we love sharing those. So that is it. The particular fees that we have for this particular destination is for the tours like Sandy presented. These are guided vacations. Then the fee just starts at $99. And that also includes, like, if these particular tours aren't the right one for you, we can, you know, Mayflower has a bunch of other options, and it doesn't, you know, doesn't have to be the ones that we presented tonight. So if you need some more ideas of things to do, then, you know, it's still $99 to get started with that. And if you want us to customize a trip for you, plan your own kind of road trip or whatever it happens to be, if it's in the United States, that fee starts at $199. So as a thank you for coming tonight, and we will be sending this recording to everybody who registered. So everybody who registered and who gets a copy of this recording will still, this is still applicable to you. We're going to give you a 20% discount on our fees. So I put that in there in the slide of what that actually means money-wise. We're going to keep this offer open for the next 2 weeks. Doesn't mean you have to travel within the next 2 weeks. It just means you have to make a decision to have us help you plan your trip within the next 2 weeks. And you can, you know, plan your travel, you know, for the next 18 months. I don't know how far out you go for your planning of your vacations. You know, generally it's about 18 months is about the maximum for, you know, planning something out. So, so that's pretty much it. I'm like, we are ready for you to start planning your trip with us. We also have, you know, our, you know, but wait, there's more offer. But, you know, like if you know for sure right now that you want our help and you're ready to move forward, we're going to take $99 off of those fees that we just referred to you before. So if you want to take advantage of that, just send me a chat message. You can email or call us, like I said, and leave a message because our phones aren't like open until Monday. And let us know that you want to set up that discovery session, and we will take $99 off of those fees. So that means, you know, it's basically free for the escorted one, and it's $100 for the customized, I can't even think, domestic consultation.
Itinerary.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I need help here. So I'm going to send the little link to our paperwork. That's another way that you can say, hey, I'm serious. I want your help. I'm going to send that link in the chat. You can fill out our paperwork online, and that's another way for us to get a hold of you and move forward. So I think that's it. Oh, yeah, we have some, I don't know, we'll skip the client testimonials right now. I know there's a couple people, but I just want to know in the chat, or, you know, we can unmute ourselves. You know, I hope this was really a valuable presentation. I know I learned a bunch. I had a bunch of notes that I was taking, so thank you, Sandy. Those little tidbits of different things.
Do I now give you the disclaimer? I have to tell you, ladies, that I apologize because I was a teacher in my past life. So a little teacher in me is just always there.
No, it's awesome. It was awesome. I thought it was very helpful. And I saw the chats coming through of people saying kind of the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's a great tidbit to know. So awesome job.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So that's it. I'm going to kind of wrap up our particular presentation. This is our thank you. This is just a couple of examples of some of the client documents that we put together for our clients. And of course, I couldn't forget our mascots, Linus and Isabel. So those are Andrea's doggies, and we love them so much, and we miss them. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and see. Did you guys have any other questions in the chat? I saw the chat bubble, but you know, like when I share the screen, you're right. I don't see how you see the chat messages. So
yeah, I brought it back up here, but I don't know if you'll see it actually. Just so you know, Monica, when you sign off, they'll disappear.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
did
you guys.
Any questions
this evening, by the way. This was lots of fun. I really appreciate it. This was
yeah.
fun.
Here, let me unmute people. I think I can do that, can't I? Unmute all, and you can unmute yourself if you have done that already. But if you have a question or anything you want to say, you know, we'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, we'll just wrap it up for the evening. Is there anybody that had any questions?
What's the meaning of life? Oh, no.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I'll tell you after I have my glass of wine.
Sandy, I just want to say thank you. This was so fun. I learned a ton.
as well.
Okay.
You know, it's like we just never stop learning. This is why I love this industry so much. We just travel and we learn, and it's nonstop, and it's so exciting. And I'm like over here seeing these pictures, like, can we go now? I want to go. It's so cool. So I definitely see myself on one of the tours next year, and I hope that some of you on here will join us. We love to travel
absolutely.
together, so definitely come on board.
I'm going to join you too.
Okay, Sandy, you're one of us now, so that's okay. You can do that.
I love it. I would love to have that. Have you join us? That would be fun. Yeah. And I just also wanted to say, like, you know, we just kind of plucked these dates out just to give you an example of some particular, for these particular itineraries, but some of these itineraries have multiple departure dates. So if there isn't something that works for you because of the date, let us know, because we can work on that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. And like I said, I will be sharing this recording with everybody who registered. So, and thank you so much, Sandy. That was super awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys. That was
applause to Sandy. Applause to
Thank you guys. This was so fun.
Everybody. Yeah, thank you.
Hey, have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.
I'm going to try stopping the recording. There we go.